Welcome to Karen's Community Corner. It's a podcast show for the community in Pitt County. SandyMoyer is a mom. She's a community leader. Now she's running for the Pitt County School Board. Let's meet her today. Hi there.
Hi, Karen. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Sandy.
Well, like you said, I am a mom of three. I've been married for 19 years. I homeschool my kiddos. I've been involved in the community at different aspects and lived here for 6 years. Love North Carolina, beautiful area, beautiful state. And we're just enjoying our time here and trying to do the best we can and getting involved as much as we can to help out.
Nice. Can you tell me why you are running for office?
Okay, so that's a little bit of a long story. I think I have to backtrack to something. When I was born in the U.S., but when I was 8, my parents moved to Dominican Republic. When my mom did, and so I grew up in a third world country. And I've given this story numerous times, but I think it's important to highlight it. I remember always feeling in Dominican Republic like there was such a stark difference between DR and America, and I always thought I can't wait till I get back home. And different things I got to see, how the government operated, how the voice of the people did not matter. You had to have connections, or you paid somebody in the government for somehow to get some sort of like hearing from them. So it was very difficult to make it in DR. And when I was 18 and I moved back to the States, I was just impressed. I mean, I remember growing up some things, but when I came back, the generosity of this country, I came back and my parents were both gone. So I came back and I was an orphan. And I remember how none of those things were impediments. And how in Brooklyn, New York, I remember how they took me in, how they helped me. And I was just so thankful for the generosity displayed here in this country. And I got to go to college, I got to meet my sweetheart, I got married, and I benefited so much in that way. And then that's when I immersed myself in the history part of America. So I started teaching my kids. And when I was teaching my kids, I truly grasped the American history. And I was like, man, this is an amazing accomplishment, what they were able to do with the little that they had and how hard they fought and how much they've given back, how they were involved in, South Korea and how that government is thriving. Some of it has to do with because we were involved there. And in Japan, how they changed things around and how they've contributed to democracy in so many parts of the world. And even in Dominican Republic, some of the churches that were established there were American missionaries. So I remember thinking, this is a great country. I always thought it was, but I was even more convinced because knowledge is power, And so as I was teaching the kids, we taught them everything. We taught them the good, the bad, the ugly, but we were very proud of our American history. And so I realized, I benefit a lot by living in this country. So I need to give back. And I thought giving back was, getting involved in the community like we in very different degrees and getting my kids to be good citizens, which is super important, and voting and being informed. But after certain things happened in the last election cycle and seeing what was happening in the schools, I felt like there was a move. And I remember somebody asking me like, hey, well, why don't you, if that's something that's concerned you, why don't you get involved in that way? And I never thought of it that way. I was like, you know what? I do complain a lot about how things are going. Maybe it's time to be a part of the solution. So that's what really prompted me to get involved in running was, hey, you know what? I want to stop complaining about things and I want to start being part of the solution.
Excellent. That's excellent. Thank you, Sandy. I love your story. Now, tell me what your district is.
My district. I'm sorry.
Yes. What is it? What part of Pitt County does it comprise?
Okay, so it's a weird map, but I'm like right at the edge. So it comprised some parts of Portertown, some of Charles Boulevard. We have some out in County Home Road, some of Fire Tower out there in the Windsor area as well. For a better view of the map, you can just get on the Board of Education website and look at the map. It's outlined, but it's a very weird map how it's shaped the districts. But I have 5 schools in that district: CMX, EB Aycock, Wintergreen Intermediate, Wintergreen Primary, and also Elmhurst Elementary. So those are the 5 schools that would be in my district.
Good, good. That's a good district. That's a definitely gerrymandered a little bit. Sake of where all those schools lie. Okay, tell me about masks in the schools. Do you have an opinion about children mandated to wear a mask during school?
I definitely do. And it's not just an opinion, it's based on a lot of the research that's been put out there. The funny thing is, I remember when Fauci, when this whole thing went down with the pandemic, when he was asked this question about people wearing masks. And I know it's buried in YouTube somewhere, but I remember him saying the mask is not effective at mitigating the spread of a virus because it's just so small. So I don't know where he changed his mind, obviously. I don't know where they're getting the research for this, but a lot of it, and I was telling somebody, at best, people are imposing these mandates on conflicting evidence at best. But we know that the research shows that if you're using a surgical mask or a cloth mask, that's not going to prevent it. Though, do I think that if some people feel safer wearing them, that they should have the option? Sure, everybody should have a choice. I told somebody the other day, I said, listen, if tomorrow the government decided to institute Christianity as the state religion, and they said, you have to go to church and you have to convert, and these are the things that you have to do, and you can't go here and you can't go there, I would be against it. I would be the first person against it, because a lot of people justify the mask. Well, it's a good, it's for a good cause. It's a good thing. It's going to, which is not. I would say, even if it's a good thing, if you force people to do things that are against their will, it never is. It never turns out to be. And most countries that have started out that way have always taken something that was good or for the common good to push an agenda. So I'm against the mask because I'm mostly the mandate behind it, forcing people to do things against their will. That's what I'm against.
So you are pro-freedom and liberty.
That's exactly right. I'm pro-freedom and pro-liberty. And I know the left uses pro-choice, but I am pro-choice. You're pro-choice, meaning you get to choose.
If you want to wear a mask.
If you want to wear a mask, yes.
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on the school curriculum currently?
I think there are a lot of things that could be improved upon. I think a classical education, I know a lot of people kind of don't want to talk about that because they think, oh, that's archaic. But I think a classical education would benefit the schools. I think that even the homeschooling model and the private school model could be brought into the public schools. There's nothing wrong with us learning from each other. I think that the public school has gotten away from listening to what the parents have to say when it comes to the education of their children and other decisions. I think that the focus is not on academics, it's on other issues. And it's very distracting going back. I'm sorry to go back to the whole mask, but even then teachers are spending hours and hours telling the kids, put it back up, put it back. So it takes away from the time that the kids are learning. But I think a classical education would benefit the school, bringing back some of the classical literature. You see some of the books that they're putting out right now.
Yeah.
That's awful. And even the books that are not sexualizing our children, they're really dumbed down language. I'm thinking some of these other books like, Homer and Shakespeare and Robert Louis Stevenson, some of these books that my kids were reading, they really encourage you to sort of like research and improve your vocabulary. And it's written with such literacy rigor that it just opens you up to so much more. And I think that that's something that should be looked at with the kids, teaching them how to debate, how to use logic, how to articulate. That's some of the things that classical literature would bring to the schools.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So tell me, what do you feel is going to be your biggest challenge in your campaign?
I think there's two. The biggest one, I think people are going to look at me as an outsider for a little bit, and they're going to say, hey, she hasn't been in the system. How does she know what we need, what's affecting our children? And to that, I say, yes, I am an outsider when it comes to the system. I, at one point, did consider putting my kids in the public school system. My husband and I decided to homeschool because it was something that we wanted to do. And eventually we realized it was something that we needed to do. And when we decided to put her in, we just didn't feel comfortable. As you can see, a lot of parents don't feel comfortable, but they don't have a choice at this point. I think that I can say, sometimes you need an outsider to come in and look at things with a fresh perspective. Sometimes you're so close to the, you can't see it. And we've seen people that are outsiders come in and completely change things around and make it different. So I also think as a parent, I can come in and bring that sort of, hey, vigilant type of attitude to make sure that the parents are being heard and that things aren't being like funneled through without them knowing what's going on. So yeah, that part about being an outsider might be the biggest challenge, but I think that we can take that and use that to help us campaign.
Okay, okay, so that's it for your.
Well, the second one, as every campaign, I would say is funds. So that's always going to be a, so we need people to donate if they support our cause. We believe in parental choice. Number one, we believe in transparency. We should know what's going on in the classrooms. The parents should have an idea of what the curriculum looks like. They should know what their kids are reading. They should have the option to opt out of anything they consider inappropriate. I don't think that should be in the school, period. But if they see that something, their kid isn't ready at this point, at this stage, then something they should be able to opt out. And there should be some provisions made for those parents that are just as beneficial as those kids that didn't get to opt out. Because sometimes they get like a secondhand thing, oh, you got to opt out, well, you got to sit over here. No, they should be provided something as well, just as important. I think that a lot of officials have forgotten. This is kind of like general, all across the board, and all the institutions in our country, they've forgotten about the people that have elected them. They've forgotten what they're there for. So I think the school board is just a microcosm of all the things that are happening in our country. So I think that, yeah, I think that's some of the things that we need to address and some of the things that we need to do. But I think that if you support that, donate.
Right. Time and money.
Without time and money, we need volunteers. We need people to go knock on doors, make phone calls, that kind of thing.
Okay. Now on that note, how can people get in touch with you? How can they contact you?
Well, right now we do have a website up. So it's not completely, I need to add some things to it, but www.sandymoyer.com. You can still get on there. You can read my about page, get to know me a little bit more. You can connect with me. There's not a volunteer page set up just yet, but in that connect page, you can send an email. We can get back in touch with you. You can donate. I have a PO box listed on the website as well. You can, if you need to donate checks, you can do that digitally right now or online donations. We're not doing just yet, but we'll have that set up this week. Lord willing, by the end of the week, we'll have that set up.
Okay. This is a great topic, folks. This is very important in our community. And so many of us have kids, grandkids, or, friends, children that are in these public schools, and we need to stay abreast of what is current. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for being on Karen's Community Corner. And I look forward to seeing how your campaign goes and encouraging people to involve themselves.
Thank you.